I'm Annette, the Stop Skin Picking Coach, and I'm here today with Aneela.
So nice to be back.
Yeah, we did this about a year and a half ago. So
Yeah.
Aneela is one of the co-founders of Habitaware, which makes this amazing bracelet. You can show yours, right? The
Yeah.
Keen bracelet. Oh, she's got one on each arm. Wonderful. The awareness bracelet to help you stop picking or other compulsive behaviors. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us
Oh,
again.
thank you. It's so exciting to be back. I've been
Yes.
watching all your videos the last year and a half and more, and it's been exciting to see all the things that you've been talking about and to be back on.
Yeah, well, thank you for watching. I'm excited. Yeah, so we're definitely mutual fans of each other's work. So a year and a half ago, when you were on, you guys were pre-selling the Keen bracelet, which actually then had been called another name.
Mhm.
And so it's been regular sales for almost a year now. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yep. Yeah, we officially launched in late March, early April of 2017, so almost coming up on the anniversary. It's pretty exciting.
It's very
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah. So, why don't we just start though? Because I'm sure not everybody seeing this video knows anything about it.
Sure.
So, yeah, if you could just like start at the beginning, like tell
Yeah.
us what it is and sort of a quick story of how it was developed.
Absolutely. So I have a hair pulling disorder, trichotillomania, which is basically a sister disorder to skin picking. And a couple of years ago, my husband found out that I have this disorder. So for about 20 years, since my early teens up till now, I'd been hiding it. I used to pull from my eyebrows and my eyelashes, and so I would just put makeup on, like eye makeup, to cover it up. And then one day he just saw me before I could get my makeup on in time and said, "Where are your eyebrows?" And so I finally shared my hair pulling secret with him. And that, in and of itself, set me off on a little bit of a journey with my relationship with my trick. But it also opened up the conversation with my husband to basically for us to work together to find a tool to help me. And that tool is now the Keen bracelet, which essentially what it does is you train it for your specific behavior with an iPhone or an Android app. And Keen just is looking for the movement of the hand, and it will vibrate to let you know when your hands are not where you want them to be. So you train it for, if you look for skin imperfections on your face or on your back, or if you're pulling your hair and you're looking for those like weird feeling hairs that you just need to get. So you train the bracelet for that, and then when it senses a match, that vibration is just shifting it from the subconscious to the conscious mind, so you can actually affect change.
Thank you for that. It's a fantastic tool. So I have been, working with clients who are using this. There's, that
Awesome.
other video. I
Yeah.
just saw it was on your website, the one with Genevieve.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a great tool for my clients and for people who don't really quite need coaching or therapy. I mean, it's just like, if this is not a complex issue for you and
Yeah.
it's just literally just an unconscious habit that you have, especially, it's so fantastic.
Yeah, and we're hoping that, I mean, I truly believe that therapy and things like coaching and things like that are absolutely needed. So my hope is that um, treatment professionals can integrate it into the way that they're working with their patients. But yeah, I mean, not everyone has access. Not everyone has, the time to take off from work to see a psychologist weekly or
Hmm.
the health insurance to make it happen. So we're trying, and we're trying to help people at least with that first piece of awareness. And then once you have that awareness, it's still work. It's still the steps to take to learn to replace the behavior with things that are more positive, and ideally a coach or a therapist, a psychologist can be there to guide you on that side. But our goal is to first get you to that first step. You can't change what you don't know, so that's where we're coming in, and then the ideal scenario would be you use it with someone who can coach you through that. But we're working on ways to kind of to get to that point as well, where we can help out a little bit, especially for those folks that don't have the access to someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. And I mean, awareness is it's key. You can't do it without that, no matter what other, components of this you're working on.
Yeah.
Ultimately it does break down in the moment to a choice, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't make it. It's not a choice if you're not aware that you're doing it. You've had a lot of feedback, I imagine, since the last time
Yeah.
we spoke. I don't know if you want to talk about like how many people are using it or what you've heard from people
Yeah.
and how
So
long does
it's
it
been pretty
take?
exciting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
pretty exciting. We launched in April 2017, and we're helping, like, the cool thing is we're helping people around the world. Like, thousands of people around the world are wearing these bracelets and getting better. Of course, it's a spectrum, in terms of what we get in terms of feedback is obviously usually, oh, I wish it had that, or I wish it had this, and we're taking notes, and we have our own ideas that we're working on, and just almost every day we'll get an email in from someone saying thank you, like, you're changing my life. And those are like the tear jerkers. We try to keep those all in one place so everyone on the team can see them, and it just gets us so pumped to know that we're helping people. But of course, we're helping people, absolutely. There's still work to be done. We still have, support tickets coming in to work out some kinks and stuff. So we're watching what's trending to figure out, okay, what do we need to do to fix things, and we're trying to get ahead of stuff, and we're absolutely taking families' feedback into consideration to help us fix stuff and make it better.
So who, as far as like, types of, let's say, people picking their skin,
Mm-hmm.
correct me if I'm wrong, Keen will work for picking at your head, picking anywhere
Mm-hmm.
in your face, also shoulders if you
Yep.
do this, yeah. Not fingers yet, or
So shoulders, arms, finger picking is very dependent on the person. So if the person is like picks kind of just with their fingers, it's not going to work. But if there's that wrist motion,
oh,
then
interesting.
because that's where the bracelet is, that's where the detection is actually going to be happening,
Right.
then it should work.
Makes sense.
I think one of the ones that we get probably the most false alarms with is like the chest area, because it's so,
Okay.
keyboards and stuff. But it's the same. What I always do is I show people like when I'm doing my eyebrow pulling, and then you kind of go like this. It's the same plane of motion. So like for me, driving was a false alarm, but then
Interesting.
in the app you can adjust and tighten those settings to eliminate them. Um, I think with chest, kind of that chest area, it's again sort of that same plane of motion
Mm-hmm.
for typing, um, which again the settings you should be able to tweak, but I don't know for sure because it's really hard to replicate, for
Mm-hmm.
us to kind of fake it to kind of replicate. And then when we get questions in, oftentimes we'll send our email with here's things to try, and then we just kind of assume if you're not writing back that you figured it out and it's working
Yeah.
for you.
Well, that's really helpful to know because then the viewer can decide like, oh, is this something I want to fight with, or
Yeah.
like, put some effort into just in case with, if their main picking areas on the chest. How about legs?
Yeah, I think it's working for legs. Again, I
Great.
can't replicate, but I know people who have said that they're using it for their legs. And again, my assumption is if we're not hearing from them, like no news
Yeah.
is good news kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's I would assume that it's working.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
and I've heard good things about your customer service, by the
oh,
way.
oh, Carla. So our team is growing too, which is pretty exciting. So my friend, Carla is now on our team, and she's our director of customer success, and she's helping us, yeah, do exactly that, to help people do training calls so that we can show people exactly what's right for their behavior, like how to set up the detection settings for their behavior, how to train. And so yeah, it's been awesome. I actually really love doing that because I love interacting with everyone, but there's just so much to do. So,
Yeah.
and it's a good thing. It's a good thing that our team is growing. It means good things are happening for us, and hopefully that will translate into good things for our community.
Definitely. I love that there's such a personal touch, even though now it's somebody else that's your customer care person, that it's really easy for people to get a hold of a person
Yeah.
to help them. Which, considering the cost of this, which is pretty low, that's really amazing. Like I don't know what this customer service is like at Fitbit or whatever, but I was curious. Okay, so I have working with a teenager who's been using it, and her that's actually one of the first things I helped her with was the fault. She was like, it's just going off all the time, and I'm like, okay, let's look. And I found it in about 2 seconds on your website that
Awesome.
we just had to go to the app, and it's a sliding thing
Yep.
from like to adjust the tightness, I think it was called, or
Exactly.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
super. And she was like, okay, great, problem solved. And then we sort of like had to deal with her a little bit psychological reluctance to wear it,
Mhm.
because I think she was afraid of people asking about it. She didn't really want to talk
Mhm.
about it. And so we kind of, I
Mhm.
went through with her kind of like, well, what's the worst case scenario? What's the worst thing that could happen? And what's the best, what would you want to happen? And then like, what's most likely, that kind of analysis. But do you have
Yeah.
any tips as far as, or what do people say? Like,
Yeah. So, I mean, we've purposely designed it to blend in, right? Like, it
mm-hmm,
looks like other things on the market. So, you could just say it's my activity tracker and you're not lying, Okay, if people are going to push what brand, where'd you buy it? I mean, you could just, then you just say, oh, I got it as a gift and that's it, right? Um,
great
Done.
answers.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
right?
love
But
it.
my hope is that it can be a conversation piece, and that's what we're seeing a little bit of, right? Oh, what's that? I've never seen that. Oh, it's this thing that I have, this disorder called skin picking. I do this thing, and this is helping me get better. And maybe you using it as a conversation tool helps actually bring it to bring it out, right? And because I personally think that it's the hoarding of the secret and the covering it up and and I went through it, right? I mean, it's painful because you do get questions, right? Oh, where's your
Mm-hmm.
eyebrows? Or I can remember people looking at me, talking to me face to face, and our eyes are lined up, and I can see like the wheels turning in their head, like where's her eyebrows or where's her lashes or something looks weird. You can kind of guess what they're thinking. But if you can get rid of that feeling and that shame that and just share, you are so much closer up to that road to recovery, because that bag that you're carrying for so long, like, you can just leave it and you can run. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean.
it's just so freeing. It's just so freeing. So my hope is that people will use it as a way to shift the conversation, right? Even with parents and their kids. Instead of, oh, little Jamie, did you pull today at school? It's, hey, let's check your keen stats. Let's see how it's going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So shifting that conversation to
Positive.
be, yeah, to be positive, to not be about the behavior, but maybe about the activity, or just away from you're doing this to yourself kind of thing, which is the mentality, right? So if we can flip that and say, I mean, think about people with cancer. If I had cancer, it's not me saying I want my blood cells to be eating at each other. I mean, it's the same. It's not me saying I want to pull out my hair. So why do other people think that, and why do I think that? So if you can change that perception of what this really is first for yourself, then it gets easier to start sharing it with other people, because then you're changing the language as you share. So I don't even know if I answered your question, but
Yeah, you did. And I mean, in the beginning, and then you gave some other really good good insight and
Sorry,
advice.
I just like go off on a tangent on that all the time just because I want people to share, because that is the cure to me.
Yeah.
That is the cure, to get it off your chest, to get it off your back, and to just start living your life and to stop caring what other people think, which is really hard to do because that's how I've lived my life for my entirety. So it's retraining away from that.
Well, we're both very public about it, but yeah, not everybody is ready to
Yeah,
share.
no,
So,
absolutely. Yep, it's a journey. I mean, right? I mean,
mhm,
I'm sure it took you time to get to where you are. It took me
mhm.
ages to get to where I am, and everyone in their own time. But I just hope, I just want to plant the seed, right? So that one day it will bloom.
Yeah. So, since it's come out, I think you've updated the software. Is that
Yep.
correct? Like, do you do that continuously every time you
Yeah.
feel like there's an important change?
Yep. Yeah. So that first one, we were definitely getting right at the beginning some feedback about false alarms. So we've upgraded the algorithm, and that's since gotten better, and we've seen those issues kind of taper. We're still getting them, but we send our list of try this, try that, do a video call, and then usually we're able to get people to where they need to be. So it's going well, and yeah, we're absolutely kind of always trying to work on new things. We have app updates that we're working on right now that we'll push out fairly soon. I'm a little bit of a hold up there, so we're getting to it. We're getting there.
Get on it,
Get on. Yeah.
Aneela. Yeah, is there anything that you can share that's coming up?
um, a lot like some design tweaks, just to make it a little bit more easy to go through the training process, and just to make some of the features more apparent. Like, hey, you can click into here and you can do things in this area. Um, and then within the app, you can actually start tracking your behavior. So we're adding some features to that section to make it a little more robust for people.
Cool. Yeah, I saw that you just like right now right now you have to tap it when you want it to track. Do you still
Yep.
do that?
Yeah. So
Okay.
you'll still need to push the button to say yes, I pulled, or yes, I picked, or
Mhm.
yes, I engaged in the behavior. And the reason for that is, um, you know, because there are false alarms, right? So we don't want to count every single vibration as a you engaged in the behavior. Plus, I can be playing up here and it can go off, but I may not actually pull, and that's pretty much where I am now, right? So we don't want to ding you for something that didn't happen. So we want you to acknowledge it. And psychologists say that that's part of building your awareness, right? You're
Mhm.
acknowledging that you're engaging. So
Mhm.
you're building your awareness. You're building your relationship with the behavior instead of ignoring it. So that will likely never not change, at least not for a while. Never say never.
One thing I'm curious about, like, do you guys see the data, and do you either have you been analyzing it, or do you have any plans to learn things from it?
Yeah, so we can't see whose data it is. Um, and we can't see exactly what's going on. Like, we can kind of see some high level stuff, but that's something that as we start diving into, we can maybe start analyzing a little bit more and start seeing what we can do and how we can play with that to see what else we can be doing to improve the bracelet.
Do you have plans for any other products, or this is it? You
No,
can't
we are
say.
we are excited about our our trajectory. Um, we have a lot of ideas, and we're working on a couple of things.
Cool.
So yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, I absolutely
Yeah.
will. Yeah, so I'm wondering like how long it takes to work for people. I imagine there is probably a real wide variety of
Yeah.
time.
So I think to your point, it's gonna be vary for everyone, right? If you're in it and you're dedicated and you're wearing it every day, like I would say within those first few days, you're starting to heighten your awareness. Within the first, week, 2 weeks, and my goal is for you to get consistent and wear the bracelet every day so that you are retraining, you are noticing where your hands are to the point where you don't need these at some point, right? I mean, that we get emails in where people will start saying, "Hey, I'm noticing before Keen does," and I'm like, "Hey, that means it's working," right? Like
Yeah.
you're doing it. Um, so yeah, so anywhere from a couple of days to 2 weeks. I mean, the thing with things like skin and hair is it's to see the results is going to take time because hair takes time to grow, or even the skin takes time to kind of heal itself and to repair. So, um, I think for that, there's no instant gratification, which I think people are just so used to getting right now. So, um, I think that's kind of some of the little like that's what makes it a little bit hard for people, I think, to like stick with it. Like, is it working? Is it working? And it takes time. It takes time.
I think that's also kind of a hallmark of this disorder is this
Mhm.
like just losing hope
Yeah,
so quickly,
yeah,
like in just the importance of being persistent with things.
yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, I'm used to kind of hammering this over the head, and I have to encourage people like, you can't just wear this for like the one time when you
yeah,
think you're like most vulnerable to picking
yep,
because sometimes you end up picking here and sometimes you end up picking there too. And so, like, I think the best practice is, like you say, like, you make a habit of putting it on when you put your clothes on in the morning and then wear it
exactly.
all night, plug it in every night, and
Yep,
then, yeah, repeat, rinse and repeat.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you just did a video, I think, about why is it not working, and
Mm,
it's the consistency. You have to give it time. Like you're not going to learn French in a day. You have to practice. It's the same exact thing. You have to do the hard work to take control. Which again, I think we just live in a day and age where everything is right at our fingertips, right? You
yeah.
just want it right away. And 20 years is not going to get erased in 2 hours with Keen, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's work, it's a process. And I think it also, you kind of start uncovering other things as well. Like for me, I didn't realize that I had trick. I mean, I knew I had trick in my teens, but I didn't realize that part of the reason was because I had anxiety. Like I didn't have that language as a teenager in the 80s to say, "Oh, these things I'm feeling is anxiety." Now, in my 30s, looking back, I'm like thinking like all these rush of memories coming back, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that was anxiety. That was anxiety, right?" And it was all feeding the trick. So now it's okay, so I'm working on my trick, but now I need to work on this other thing. Like, oh, okay, so now I have more work to do. And but it's great because it's like domino effect. You start working on one area of your life, and you're like cleaning up your house. You like clean one room, and now you're cleaning the
Mm-hmm.
next. And okay, now the kids have made a mess in that room that you just cleaned. So you gotta keep at it.
Yeah.
But that's the journey.
Yeah. And it's important to, pick one thing at a time
Yep.
also. Like
Yeah.
if you try
Yeah.
to work on everything at
Yeah.
once,
It's
you get so
paralyzing.
overwhelmed. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
do anything. So it's like
Exactly. Yeah.
kind of, take stock, take a survey, and then decide like what's the one thing I can do right now that's going to
Yeah.
move the needle the most for me.
Exactly.
And then you
Yeah.
get that into play, get that to be a habit or whatever, and then choose, okay, what's the next thing I can do?
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, and so if any, of any of the viewers, if you think this bracelet might be the thing for you, like the one thing to start
One thing,
on
right? To
right
start.
now,
Yeah.
we are going to have a code for you to get a discount on this. And I'll put that in the description below the YouTube video. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's that, if you're ready, and that this Keen could be that one thing that you start with. You start with building that awareness, and then, okay, once you have those awareness muscles, then start replacing and figuring out what is it squeezy balls? Is it yoga? Is it deep breathing? Find out what works for you, and then you can really say that okay, this piece of me is getting rounded out, right? And now you can start looking at, okay, well, was anxiety the driver? Let's start looking at that and let's start learning. But honestly, if you're starting to learn to replace the behavior, and things like deep breathing and stuff are going to help you with the anxiety. So it's all sort of, even while you're starting to focus on that one, it may actually help with other
Even
stuff.
even stopping the behavior usually helps with the anxiety. I mean, did you find that as well, or you're
Yeah,
just noticing now you have more anxiety, or
I don't have more
yeah.
anxiety. I think I just have. I think now it's apparent that I have it. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Like the trick was the thing,
Yeah,
right?
you
And then
weren't letting
now,
yourself feel it
yeah,
really.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So now, but now I'm working on that, and it's been really good.
right.
I mean, for me, it was. I think part of my anxiety was, are people going to notice? Are people going to notice? Are people going to notice? So then
So true.
once I, now these are real. So no one.
And
So
they're
that anxiety.
lovely.
Yeah. Now now that anxiety is gone.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I've definitely social anxiety and stuff beyond just that, right? So working
right.
on
Yeah,
noticing. You can't deal with it if you're not aware of it. So now I'm aware.
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you wanted to share with our
No,
viewers?
I think we covered a lot of stuff about where we were with Keen and where we are now, and just thank you for having me on again. And I'm looking forward to having some of your viewers join our Keen family and that journey to awareness. I'm excited and always happy to chat with anyone who has questions. So you can shoot me an email. I'm easy to find.
All right. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Aneela, for coming on
thank you.
again. And again, for inventing this
Well,
wonderful
well,
thing. We're co-inventing.
I just said I wanted it, and then
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your
kind of
husband
made
did all the
it.
work. Well,
I yeah,
let's thank him
I got it.
too.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Samir, wherever you are.
And John and Kirk. Yeah, we're
Yeah, the whole
excited.
team.
It's been really fun as a team to kind of do all this stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, super. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing where you guys go.